The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Diversity Talk. I'm sure you're wondering who this strange person is now on Diversity Talk with me tonight.
They don't get much stranger than this.
Right. And I'm sure a lot of you are looking at that face and saying, oh, I know him. Well, I'd like to introduce you, if you don't know him, to the amazing Tim Moss.
Hi.
I just wanted to shake things up a little bit tonight on Diversity Talk, and I have a really fun guest, and I thought, bring Tim on for this one because Tim is really fun too. And Tim and I can also tell you all about, since you're listening from all over the country, that we are going to be performing in two different theaters. Tim is in the Johnson Theater. I am in the Cabaret Room at Theater for the New City in New York City. Friday night. It is their downtown festival. They call it the Lower East Side Festival. And my God, this is like so exciting.
Yes.
It's such a great place to perform at. And I love it. Both Tim and myself and a number of other people that have been on this show that are based out of New York are going to be performing Friday night. So
I know it's Memorial Day weekend, but if you had plans to go out of town, change them. And here at least till Saturday, because you'll want to come down on Friday night and see all of us performing at New City.
As a lot of people in Milford, Pennsylvania, where Triversity is based out of, as a lot of people know, I am coming out on Saturday because I have going to be doing this show Friday night. We also had something really great happen in Milford. The proclamation was passed that we now have official Pride Month in June. The Milford Borough. Yeah, that was huge.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, it you know what it really is, which means, we can do whatever we want and celebrate Pride however we want. There are other areas in Pennsylvania, I don't have to tell you, that have been more challenging, but we've had some where we passed, and it's great. So a reason to celebrate. And another reason to celebrate tonight is our amazing guests that we have. I call this segment "The Neon Lights Are Bright on Broadway," because when I saw this person's picture, just like his energy and charisma jumped off of the page. He's an Obie Award winner for his performance in the Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award-winning musical A Strange Loop by Michael Jackson, which everybody knows. That was, oh God, what it is. Tim, did you get to see it?
Yes, it was incredible.
Incredible, right? He's got an upcoming cabaret show at Pangea in New York City, where we broadcast our Wednesday afternoon show, If These Walls Could Talk. Plus, Pangea hosts so many incredible performers, as they have done for decades. So our guest is going to be there June 1st and June 2nd. And he has a Juneteenth performance in Provincetown at the Wild. And believe me, working some more. Put your hands together for the one and the only James Jackson Jr.
Hi. Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Good. So exciting to have you here tonight.
I'm just happy to be here. I've been sitting on a computer all day doing work related things. So this is
now
I get to sit on a computer but have
sitting
fun.
on a computer.
Yeah. Sit on a computer with Wendy and Tim and have the experience of a lifetime. No,
No, it was the morning was all about work. So now this is fun.
Right. And now It's about play. By the way, I have to call this out to you. You have one of the best headshots I've seen
Oh my.
in history.
Thank you.
I mean, just on that headshot alone.
Oh.
Casting for anything, because it just pulls your whole entire personality out.
Thank you.
You know, who did the headshot?
It's Roberto Araujo, who is an amazing photographer, who I just adore. There are only like two people who have ever taken my photos. Roberto and L. Morgan Lee have taken the best photos of me ever, and I continue to use them because I love them. But the headshot I think that you have, Roberto Araujo took, and I absolutely love it. I remember my agent was like, "We need something with like the beard a little bit," because everyone stopped shaving in the pandemic, and I was like, "No, I can't do that." And I went to Roberto saying, like, I don't want to take a photo with a beard and glasses. And he's like, but that's who you are. And he made me look wonderful. I love it.
It's just such a great shot. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Very excited about your upcoming show at Pangea, June 1st and June 2nd, because you are kicking off Pride.
Yeah, I'm really excited and I guess maybe a little nervous because I haven't done this in about a year.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I've never sung at Pangea, so I'm nervous for that. You're always a little nervous about who's going to come. Will anybody show up? Are you terrible? Will you remember the words? All of the things.
Exactly.
The word thing I totally get, but it always amazes me, James, when I talk to someone of like you who's done Broadway, who's got this resume that's as long as the couch I'm sitting on, and you tell me that you're nervous.
Oh my God, yes.
Wow.
It's interesting. The character I played in A Strange Loop was called Self-Loathing, and I feel like we all have that. We all have this thing of like, oh, is this going to work? Can I do this? If I do this, will anybody come? Am I any good? I think no matter where you are in life, it's something we all kind of grapple.
Absolutely.
Right.
Those insecurities just come flying out.
Yeah.
And especially being in a new surrounding or in a new place.
You can be in your own bedroom.
But Pangea is such a nice, small, intimate room. You're going to have a wonderful time there.
I went there last year for the first time at the end of Pride Month, and I saw Flotilla DeBarge.
Flotilla,
Flotilla's show, and I was like, this is the most like intimate, adorable, cozy room.
Right.
And I loved Flotilla's show. Flotilla's the reason that I kind of got off my ass and booked a date or two. So I have to give a big shout out to her for making just go do the thing.
Flotilla, I've been shouting out to Flotilla so much in the last, it's up to 2 years. Flotilla, I've had everyone on our show, If These Walls Could Talk. When are we getting you? And Flotilla just looks at me with this, the look.
I know the look. I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen for you.
There, James, at all. But what Tim was telling you about performing at Pangea, it's not only the support that they give to performers, but everybody, every people that you've heard of and people that are way up that are so amazing. They've graced that stage. That room is a charmed room. And probably what I'm going to say next. It is filled with the spirits of many people that we know that are no longer with us.
There's history there.
I'm sure you remember Sweetie. Right. Sweetie is still in that room along with a host of others. And now, my husband is in that room too. He left March 19th. His artwork is all on the wall.
Yep.
Oh.
Please pay homage to him June 1st and June 2nd. Say, Alan, please.
I will. I love that.
Yeah, it is. It's so incredible. So, and I always joke with Stephen and Arnaldo, the owners, but certainly Stephen, that the room is definitely charged. I mean, we
feel it
there with the computers because we do a Wednesday afternoon show. There's no one there then.
Right.
But weird. I've said this to Steve. There's weird electrical things that go on there.
It's like since I was in this sort of like I'm very blue and depressed. I don't want to do this state that Flotilla got me out of and got me to book this. And since I have booked it, somehow Pangea comes up in the sphere around me. I learn about people that have played there. I encounter I find an interview on a podcast with someone who's played there. like, how does this all of a sudden, now that I finally said, yeah, this is a spot I will go do.
Yeah.
Because
And
there's energy.
probably depressing you.
Mhm.
It's an energy.
You
And when,
put it in.
and when Flotilla put you in that sphere,
Yeah.
Mhm.
energy changed. And of course,
Yeah.
Tim and I know about this stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a huge shift, and it's really
Good.
you know, I already know that this is something I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Because-
I've performed my cabaret show there as well.
Yay.
I've also made a lot of appearances there and different other people's shows, and it's
Yeah, we
just again, it's such a night for a cabaret.
Yeah.
It's so nice and intimate, and just you're right there. You're right in the midst
Yeah.
of people,
And that's
it's
my
really a
thing.
wonderful setup.
I want to hear the audience breathing. I want to
Yep.
hear like
You want to be able to connect. But so we just made this big leap, right? You were on Broadway. You were in A Strange Loop.
yes.
Oh,
You shared with us, you were feeling depressed, right?
Yeah.
So you're in a different energy sphere. You're going to do your show at Pangea, and you're going to be performing up at Provincetown for Juneteenth, which I think is great. What happened from the time of The Strange Loop that put you in mindset?
I think I worked on A Strange Loop for 13 years.
wow.
With, Michael, the writer, a dear friend of mine. And all of us, we were all there for a very long time.
Okay, that's huge.
So that's huge. And so it's a project that we were also told for so long wouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen.
Mhm.
It was too everything. It's too Black. It's too gay. It's too out there. It's making fun of the church or something like that. So there was a lot of no met with every step of that show. But it was also such a really important part of our own history.
Right.
So we kept coming back to work on it. So getting to take that from a few notes in Michael's apartment through 13 years all the way to Pulitzer and Tony Awards and performing at the Tonys was very surreal.
Right.
It's like I cannot believe I still have to kind of like, did that really just happen?
It really happened.
And then it's not that you get everything you dream of, but you do start to wonder what else is that all there is.
Right.
Broadway is a dream of a lot of ours, but is it as neat a dream as we think? It's right. It is. I love that my iPad is doing all of these things. I talk with my hands.
How do I make my background do that?
I love that.
I talk with my hands, and I probably should not have an iPad because now it just does all the things. But I start to wonder, after our time there, was Broadway everything we thought it would be as a child or as a young performer coming to New York? And you start to wonder, what else is there for you to do? What is real? Who are the real friendships? Who are the real collaborators, for sure? And you can question a lot of things. And I think in that time, I also, after this past school year, I've been teaching. I became a professor of theater up in Westchester, and I got to work with some of these really great students for the entire school year. And these young artists they're not where we are. They don't even know how to spell jaded.
Right.
They're so ready to come out and do everything.
I love that.
Important that
What's that?
most people are not going to hear, and I'm so glad you shared it. You did Broadway, right? Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Broadway, and
that's the goal.
Broadway.
Yes.
That's the goal. Broadway. And then you're singing, "Is that all there is to life?" So right. I think
what else is there is such an important
students at, I think, is probably the most valuable thing they can walk away with.
Absolutely. And seeing that every day, seeing these young artists recognize, okay, this guy has done this for the 20 years he's been in New York, and he's here and invested in me. There was this really beautiful, since everything is about collaboration, there was a really beautiful collaboration that started to inspire me. So like people like Flotilla, a lot of close people in my life did help me kind of get out of that sort of slump and say, you've been doing this thing other than the theater stuff. You've been doing this cabaret stuff for 13, 14 years. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, get off the couch. Don't be sad. You know, if you build it, yes, people will come. Believe in yourself. Like, very basic things. But I think when you're questioning a lot of stuff about your own abilities, you can doubt yourself, or that self-loathing guy can show up on your shoulder.
Absolutely.
And
Because
start to bother you.
Because for me, especially if I'm working on a large project, like you worked from a piece of paper, a note on paper, up to Broadway, to a Broadway run on this show, and all of a sudden that ends.
13 years.
For me, those self-doubts start popping right up, going, oh my God, I'm never going to work again. Am I ever going to work? And it's understandable when you're pushing and pushing and rising and rising and rising, and then it finishes for a fall, to take a mental fall.
And I don't think we're given, you know, Broadway as big and public and out front as a lot of it is. For me, because I love this cabaret thing and I love the intimacy of it, I made Broadway for myself as intimate as possible. Right? I was so invested in not just the story we were telling, but how it was received by people. So, meeting people after the show, meeting people out of the theater, and that still happens. I met someone. I got recognized in Target in Jersey City recently.
Doesn't get any better than that, except for Walmart.
Right. Like, and it happens to all of us. We were a small cast, but we get recognized places where people want to talk about this thing that you did that's not typically on Broadway, meant so much to me. And I saw myself in it. And that's so important. It's so important. So when I'm feeling down, I have to remember that someone is watching. And it's okay. It's okay to let them know also you're having a down moment. You're feeling a little bit.
But we're so trained like Pavlov's dogs. When I came into this business, the cheerful, happy, the thing that Tim and I pride ourselves on when we work together and we interview people, we want the truth. We, Rose wants to do a special show on depression, right? He's a big performer, but we talked about, because these are real things, and I love what you're giving us right now, and what you're sharing, because they're the human things.
It's human. We're all, that's underneath it all. You know, I would meet these people after the show who just saw the thing that we did. And you've had this happen before. Someone meets you, the stage door or at somewhere after the show, and they look at you like you are a superhero. Like, oh my God, I can't believe what you did. And I had to make it intimate. I had to say, like, okay, first of all, I'm so not a superhero. I'm just a human being. My shoe is probably untied. Something's on inside out. I probably smell, but I'm just a real.
Showing in the back of my shirt.
But again, a lot of times people do revere and feel that entertainers are not human. They don't realize that
we make people feel good.
Right, but that we also have good days, bad days, up times, down times, and but it's so expected of us to always be up and in the limelight. And oh my God.
And you can do that, but I think, we also all have been through the last 4 or 5 years.
Thank you.
We've all been through a really, I'm so sick of the word unprecedented, but we've been through this unprecedented thing. We all at some point were wiping off groceries. And talking to our friends on Zoom.
Lysol, okay?
That's not something we've ever been through. So I think to go back into these spaces, into dark rooms, and try to share truths and songs and stories, we have to acknowledge our similarities.
Absolutely.
We've spent a lot of time talking about differences, but we have to acknowledge our similarities, and we've all collectively been through
Absolutely. Now, all of this that we have been talking about and the mental ups and downs that we experience, can you take a couple minutes and explain A Strange Loop? Because that's all in there. It's all, that's what
it is.
Loop is
like,
about.
that's the thing I have to remember. I always have to remind myself, like, just go back and read the script. So A Strange Loop is a musical written by my dear friend Michael R. Jackson. It is, I have to remember, like, the press talking about it. It is a story about a Black queer musical theater writer who works as an usher at the Lion King, who's writing a musical about a Black queer musical theater writer who works as an usher at the Lion King, and so on and so on.
That's the loop.
That is the loop. And it is the story of this one character whose name is Usher and the 6 thoughts that are in his head. One of them being his self-loathing. And we play everyone in his life.
So each one of the characters plays
every single person in his
voice
life.
In the head.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a good strong voice. Sometimes it's a weak voice.
Sometimes it's self-loathing. Wow.
And sometimes it's. I always tell this story of part of why I would go outside to meet people afterward is because I wanted to assure people I'm not a bitch. I swear.
Yeah.
I swear I'm a nice person. I just play a bitch on stage.
That's a t-shirt. I'm not really a bitch. I just
play one on stage.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just put you through that for 2 hours. No, I think that's a common story. And, I had friends or people in my life, theater people who would say, oh, that show's not for me. Congratulations on all the good stuff. It's not for that. They referred to it as the Black show or the gay show. And people would then go see it and they were like, whoa, that's my family, or I know those people.
Yeah.
The quickest story I always had, we worked on it for so long that we didn't know how people would receive it. So we did the show at Playwrights Horizons off Broadway in 2019, I believe. And the first night of performances, the very first preview, what I love about Playwrights Horizons, there's no stage door. So you have to walk out through the audience.
Yeah, right.
So I grabbed my friend John Andrew Morrison, who played Thought 4 in the show. He was in the dressing room with me, and I said, I'm not walking out by myself. We just need to get to the subway and we can go home. Because what if they hated us? I know they got up and applauded, but everybody gets up and applauds. What if they hated us? So we linked arms in the dressing room and we walked into the lobby, just our heads down, thinking we could get out to the sidewalk. And we got stopped by 2 older women. They were sisters. They were 2 older Jewish white women, aged 83 and 78.
Oh, and they told us their ages.
They stopped both of us. They told us their ages. And they said, that was our family. And we said immediately, we were like, no, girl, I don't think that's not about you. And then we continued listening. They said, no, our mother treated our brother like that. And that was our experience in dealing with the Jewish faith and our brother who was gay. And that was our brother's story. That was our family. And that was the light bulb moment for us of, this is just a universal story about anybody's feelings around their own potential erasure in their family or in society or their career goals. And it was such an aha moment that has never stopped ringing true. It continues to this day.
Now, I just want to say, you had mentioned her earlier, but L. Morgan Lee.
Yes.
I did a stage show or a stage reading with her. I absolutely love her.
Yeah.
That voice.
So Elle Morgan played Thought 1 in the show. So all of our thoughts were numbered. So Thought 1 was Usher's sexual ambivalence, and Thought 2, me, was his daily self-loathing. So Elle Morgan was Thought 1. So for years, we were singing these top 2 parts together, and I have always said, I will spend the rest of my life happily singing third below Elle Morgan, because it's singing in my soul. It's a lovely experience.
How did you come to meet Michael? How did that happen? To spend
right before I left Boston, I'm from Boston originally. I was working on a production of the Wild Party, the LaCusa version, and it was the regional theater premiere. And there was a woman named Rachel Peters who was in that production, and she was in grad school in Boston. And she said, when you get to New York, you should look me up. I would love my friend Michael R. Jackson. And I said, all right. So I got to New York and I didn't know anybody. And I said, Rachel, I'm here. Be my friend. And she said, slow down, pump the brakes. I'll see you. You'll end up meeting Michael. She said, but also be on the lookout because you will get a call someday. So what would happen, Michael's music to a lot of folks it was too out there, or people would say, I can't sing this because I don't want to offend someone, something like that.
Wow.
So people would drop out of Michael's concerts all the time. So one day I got a call. Someone dropped out of a thing at Joe's Pub, like, tomorrow, can you learn this music and come do the show tomorrow? And I did the thing you're supposed to do. I said, email me the music, I'll learn it. I did that. I showed up at rehearsal, and Michael has talked about this in the years since. I showed up at rehearsal ready.
Wow.
It's like I didn't have to plunk out notes for James. I didn't have to really spoon feed it to him. So we rehearsed.
Wow, that's impressive.
10 or 15 minutes. But then we spent the rest of the day bonding over Tori Amos and All My Children and Guiding Light. Like our
amazing story.
Yeah. So we immediately found kindred spirits in each other. We were
and you started working on a strange loop with him.
Well, it didn't have a name then. That's the thing. It was the series of songs. Michael had songs and songs and songs. He's a songwriter. So there were a couple songs that could potentially be put into a thing that slowly became this project that became.
So it was built. He had the songs as the core, but the show actually got built around those songs.
It got built around the songs. Mainly, the show got built around voicemail messages from his mother.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So somewhere in an archive, I know I have voicemails from Michael's actual mother.
Oh, wow.
Which is fascinating. So we built a show in the way you built a show. You build a show. You work with your friends. You work with people you're comfortable with. And you can do anything if that's your core group.
What an amazing journey he took on that you got to
think
it
was
with him.
also
journey.
I think it was also fueled by the fact that we were also along the way told no.
Right.
You were told a lot from everything you were told. And I mean, how did you all keep going with
in the same way the show ended up speaking to people, it spoke to us. We were creating the thing. So these were, these stories were so familiar to us. We knew these people. We are these people. So, we would go away from it. And I went on tour and did some things. I did the Radio City Christmas show for a few years. We would go away, but you would always come back and Michael would say hey, I got enough money to pay you guys for a weekend of a workshop to work on 2 or 3 scenes. Or sometimes I don't have any money. Can we work on some songs? No matter what you would do out on the road, in regional theater, if I had to do another production of Smokey Joe's Cafe, because I was there were so many shows that theaters would do that was their black show, their ethnic show.
Right.
So you either were Smokey Joe's Cafe, you were a Five Guys Named Mo, you got in where you got in, and you did them all year long. So in the pockets of that and how that could make you feel, you come home and you do a workshop with your friend.
It's so refreshing.
On something that means a lot to you. It's
absolutely.
It's
wonderful.
That in and of itself is a strange loop.
James, I want to play your video. I believe this is the Pat Benatar song that you did at the Green Room.
This is at Green Room 42. It's for a while. This was a song that I just used to end all of my shows.
It's very beautiful.
Thank you. Yay. This was from, I think, November of last year, maybe.
All right.
I think. I don't know anymore.
Enjoy James Jackson.
Thanks.
All right. Where is the video?
It's loading. It's loading. I'm getting a message here. Just a second. We will have it up in a second. So we might get cut off real quick to go to the video, but
this
is the fact that we can do this with technology at all.
I agree with
you. I agree.
I think that's amazing.
You know what?
Just be in 3 different places.
Yeah.
When the pandemic hit and I lost every job, I had to come up with this, and that's when and believe me, I'm not oriented.
It saved your life, didn't it?
It totally changed my life. And look at the people I get to meet.
Yeah. It's we started, my friend John Andrew.
He's
Okay.
great.
Okay.
We're ready.
I'll tell you
Please
after.
Enjoy James Jackson Jr.
Yes.
Thank you.
Many times I tried to tell you. Many times I cried alone. I'm always surprised how well you cut my feelings to the bone. Don't wanna leave you, really. I've invested too much time to give you up that easy. To the doubts that complicate your mind. We belong to the light. We belong to the thunder. We belong to the sound of the words we're both falling under. Whatever we deny or embrace, for worse, for better, yeah, yeah, we belong, we belong, we belong together. Maybe it's a sign of weakness when I don't know what to say. Maybe I wouldn't know what to do with my strength anyway. Do we become a habit? Do we distort the facts? Now there's no looking forward, and there's no turning back. Still you say we belong to the light, we belong to the thunder, yeah. We belong to the sound of the words we've both fallen under. Whoa. Whatever we deny or embrace, for worse, for better, yeah, yeah. We belong, we belong, we belong together. Close your eyes and try to sleep now. Close your eyes. Try to dream. Clear your mind and do your best to try and wash the palate clean. If we begin to notice how much we really care, I hear your voice inside me. I see your face everywhere. Still you say we belong to the light, we belong to the thunder, yeah. We belong to the sound of the words we've both fallen under. Oh, whatever we deny or embrace, for worse, for better, yeah, yeah. We belong, we belong, we belong together. Oh, we belong to the light, we belong to the thunder, yeah. We belong to the sound of the words we've both fallen under. Oh, whatever we deny or embrace, for worse, for better,
Yes, yes, and
Thank you.
really that everything about your voice, the styling. I just normally most of the videos I play on this show are 3 minutes. This was 5, and I've already
Really?
listened to it 4 times, and I'm like, I couldn't cut it. I couldn't put my head on a pillow if I had that video anywhere, if I had faded out anywhere. Thank you. It is
Thank you.
Firstly, it did not feel like 5 minutes.
right.
Secondly, you made that song your own.
Man,
Thank
did
you.
And thirdly, that ring. Lord have mercy.
There's always jewelry. There's always a lot of jewelry. And like you can actually just like do an Amazon search of like big gaudy jewelry.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who knew? No, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I like lyrics. I like to tell a story in a song. So that's always been my thing. And that song has been a song that I have ended my show with for at least a decade. And so that's part of like what these new shows are about coming up. We're trying to find some new music to do. So it's weird putting some of those things away. Like I'm going to miss singing that. Well, I am singing that.
Like Tim said, is so your own. It's not like it's anyone else's. I know who the other person was who did it, but it has nothing to do with the song anymore.
That's kind of my point.
You're wearing that song. You're wearing it. It's
Thank
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to see your cabaret show now.
This is what I try to do, or have been doing. Not trying. I am doing. But I enjoy that. I have this, I think, eclectic taste in music, which is probably was my mother's fault. But so, like I spent a childhood growing up around like Nina Simone, Gladys Knight, and Beethoven.
Oh wow!
So, then I go off to college and I'm like the quintessential '90s lesbian, and it's all Indigo Girls and Ani DeFranco and Tori Amos and Sarah McLachlan. Like I'm in my Birkenstocks.
Yeah.
And then I get to New York and I'm auditioning for things, and the audition rooms were where I got pigeonholed into, we need you to sing like this. So I had to quickly learn how to sing like that. But I had this taste in things that I wanted to do. So when I started doing my cabaret stuff, it was just about what I want to sing and how I want to sing.
Your uniqueness, that's what the cabaret stuff is totally Tim. The beauty of cabaret, and for me, why it outshines a lot of things on Broadway is the uniqueness.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you what, when I started, I came to New York 21 years ago and I was auditioning and I'm doing the musical theater stuff. And I'm doing all the regional theater things that I'm supposed to do and whatever. And I never had to wait tables, I guess. So I guess it worked.
Wow.
But I didn't understand what to bring in the room or how to audition until I started doing cabaret.
Interesting.
As soon as I built up the cabaret repertoire and I was like, oh, this is what I want to sing. This is my arrangement of it. I can also communicate it to multiple piano players if need be. I'm a piano player myself, so I know how to do that.
Perfect.
I could then go back into these audition rooms for theater stuff, and it totally changed how I would. One of the first cabarets I ever did, I sang Aretha Franklin's "Never Loved a Man."
Oh.
And then I was like, great, now I have it in my key. I have a chart. I'm going in. And I brought it into an audition a few days later after my first cabaret and booked the job. In the room, booked the job. Because I was singing something that I was so comfortable with.
Right.
As opposed to trying to well, I think they want this, so maybe I should wear the blue shirt and this is what they want. And trying to become something else. Cabaret made me realize that I am enough.
Exactly. And you are who you are.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to bring to auditions is yourself.
You did bring up how you were pigeonholed.
Oh, yeah.
All of those
you're expected to do certain things. And there are decisions, and I hope it's not still happening in the rooms, but, it probably is on some level. But there were really not nice things said or thought out the gate years ago. And these are stories now that I have so many friends who say like, oh yeah, that happened to me 20 years ago too. And they said this, or, and not like, there's always going to be the stories of like casting couch things, but it's not that world, but things of, someone not knowing how to ask for certain things in the song stylings. Can you try it again, but maybe a little more urban? Or don't be afraid to like go to church with it for a second.
Oh,
and me being me, I'm like, really?
I hope you include those sayings in your show.
I always do. I always tell those stories because I'm like, what did you mean by that?
Right. Be a little more.
Can you give me an example of that?
You give me an example, and I'll get back to you to see if I can. Or then there's also been things of like, what was the old one? Like he opened his mouth to sing and a purse fell out.
Oh,
I'm like, oh God. Like, but these things have been said to people for years. And I was like, what would happen if those thoughts were taken away and someone could just come into a room and show you what they do?
right.
And it's a hard thing to turn off, like trying to suck up and get the job and just go in as yourself. But it's something that I worked on a lot with these kids that I taught about just going in and doing it how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want. And I think when you do that, you will find a freedom in you.
And thank you for doing that, because
it's not happening.
Especially in the audition world. I was never taught or told or guided in any way. What we had to figure it out for ourselves. Just jump in and do it.
And I feel like since I figure it all out, I'm not a billionaire, but I figured some things out.
Right.
I feel a duty to pass that on. And I will tell you, they're not in a lot of cases being taught that.
Right.
There is a lot of like, people are just being churned out of a lot of musical theater programs.
That's what I was going to ask you. These kids that you're teaching now, what is the industry that they're coming into compared to what you could do 20 years ago?
These are students who, well, here's the thing to remember. I have students who are juniors and seniors in college right now. So they just graduated and they're going out in the world, or next year will be their senior year. They spent either their junior or senior year of high school on Zoom.
Right.
So I have students who had their junior or senior prom on a Zoom in their childhood bedroom. Wow. Can you imagine that? You put on a tux or a gown in your childhood bedroom, open up a laptop, and you dance around your bedroom.
Right.
Wow.
And then I have students who were then dropped off on a college campus, not to go to class, to sit in a dorm room, open up a computer, and get on Zoom.
Wow.
So we're theater people. We're artists. We want to talk to and deal with everybody. And that element was taken away from them.
Wow.
So there's such wonderful collaborative young artists to be, but I can tell that there's a hiccup. There's a step missing. Yeah. It's all in the interpersonal stuff. So that's what I like to work on this past year, and probably will continue with going forward.
Good.
Because younger folks have been through a lot.
Thank you for what you're saying, because it's a big game changer.
Yeah.
And you're aware of it. You're teaching.
I saw it from day one of like, you don't know how to talk to each other. And it's not through any fault of their own. It's the circumstances of the world we've been in.
Absolutely. It was almost like they were denied a certain step in development.
So I've really been focused on that. And
good.
Some of them I think are coming to see some of the Pangea shows. Some of them are coming up to Provincetown to see me. So I'm hoping that they get to see. I know they've like Googled some things and found clips of me doing whatever, but I want them to see the whole package.
Absolutely.
Here's just your professor being your professor. I hope you enjoyed.
Now, another part of the what you were just talking about, and one thing that Wendy and I absolutely cannot stand are video auditions.
I know.
Oh my God. Because
here's the thing.
I walk into the audition room again myself, and I ask the director, how are you looking?
All the things.
Right.
And he tells me, be angry. I'll give you what you asked for.
We're very charming in the room.
Right.
Yes.
So,
but,
like,
but
I-
on a
I
video
so-
audition, we
I
don't get
miss the
any
room.
guidance.
I miss the room too.
I do too.
But we also have this damn technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to do with it. In some instances, I'm so glad that I can videotape the one line you want me to say
Right.
and
right.
send it off to you.
So insane. Yes.
Right. So like he went that way. Like I'm so glad I didn't have to get dressed up, put pants on,
Right.
and come into town for that.
Go right.
But-
Take the subway. Yeah.
How can
So
you
I
do a sense of urgency?
I don't know if we'll ever go back. I don't know if there will ever be a hybrid version of that because we have this technology.
Don't want to believe that. I want to believe that it will be hybrid. There's wonderful things internationally that can happen for all
Right.
Zoom, right? But we need, all of us need to be back in the room
In
again.
a room.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm
There
up-
is something, it's one of the things I love about cabaret is hearing a room collectively breathe to just
Yeah.
as a unit. I love that.
Well, you
So-
won't believe it. Our time is up, but we get to have you again in July.
Yes. Yes.
And everything we didn't get to talk about tonight, and believe me, there's a
We'll do
ton
more.
Oh my
And-
God. I love and adore you, kid.
of the
Oh,
show.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been a lot of fun.
Little hokey thing I love to do before the show ends.
Okay.
I'm taking these computer pictures.
I love it.
Everybody look at me and say cheese,
Cheese.
cheese. Gorgeous. Thank you.
Yeah.
June 1st and June 2nd at
Yep.
Pangea in New York. June 1st is at 9:30 at night. June 2nd is at 7 o'clock at night.
Yes.
And Pangea is located at 178 2nd Avenue between it's
10th
on
and 11th.
between 11th and 12th.
11th and 12th,
Or
right?
11th to 12th.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be I'm so excited.
I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a good time. June is a great month.
Good
This-
time, damn it. James Jackson Jr., thank you from the bottom of my heart. Tim Moss,
Thank you.
I always love you to death. Break a leg on Friday night, Tim. You go on
And
before,
you too.
so hopefully you can run over and see
Yep.
myself and Icavelli and all the other people. Artists, as you know, James Jackson, we all have to support each other. It is
Yep.
about working together. My God, we're a family and we are the best chosen family ever.
Right?
Yeah.
There's no one like us.
There's no one
Exactly.
like us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. See you all next week.
Thank you so much.
Memorial Day.
Hey.
Bye-bye.
Bye.